I want to make a couple comments about the Measure Z. I thought Judge Wills did an excellent job, and the fracking issue was maintained so that everybody's concerned about hurting the water supply by and the environment by that method was relieved. And then I think the rest of his ruling about the state and federal jurisdictions to maintain the oversight of the area was excellent, and I think it'd be very difficult to overturn. So I just wanted to point out one thing that was not highlighted was obviously the fiscal impact was reviewed, with the county being challenged with fiscal responsibility and then seeing the deficit approaching the county. This is if the county was to, let's say, go into this and then win and then lose the tax revenue from that area, that would be disappointing. And then the other issue that really was not talked about was the water issue, that there's a third of the water's recharged down around 2,000 feet below the oil, and then a third is used for steam to loosen up the oil, and then a third is used in a room about this big as a tank that does reverse osmosis, and that third goes to the ponds in the area, and that generates about 50,000 barrels a day that go into the ponds and then go back into the Salinas River, and a very pure asset to the county. So I just wanted to pass on that as you analyze this from a fiscal impact, that there's a lot of really professional Hispanic people that work on the ranch. There's on the oil fields, there's over 1,000 people, and then there's all kinds of people that are contracted to do welding that are professionally trained and middle-class jobs that we would sure like to maintain in the county. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chairman, level board members. My name is Ricardo Cervantes. A little bit of background. I grew up in San Lucas. I don't even know if you guys know where San Lucas is. South Monterey County. I lived in Monterey County my entire life. I'm fortunate enough to work for Air Energy and live in Greenfield now. That's my home. I live there with my wife and my new baby daughter. We've been here a long time, my entire life. My dad works in ag. He's worked in ag his whole life. My mom has as well. As I mentioned, I work for Air Energy here in Monterey County. I'm really proud of the work I do. I've worked for other contractors doing the well maintenance. I'm really proud of the work I do. It's a really great career. I'm very familiar with the oil field laws that the state puts upon us, and I can't say that there's nobody else, that everybody works just as hard as I do to protect the environment. I can say firsthand that if we were doing anything that was harming the environment, that's harming the future for my daughter, my nieces, I'd be the first to put a stop to it. It's just as simple as that. Measure D was overturned fair and square because it's unlawful, and I'm here to protect the environment, and I'd rather our tax dollars be used to be invested into communities such as San Lucas, San Arlo, Bradley, places like that where our money could really be used to be put in their schools, their roads, things like that. I grew up, I'm 28 years old, so I know the county in and out.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Albert Madrid, and I want to start by saying thank you for understanding me bringing my daughter today. I didn't have childcare, and she, my wife, and my kids, my grandson are the reason I felt it was important to be here today. I live in King City here in Monterey County. I'm a taxpayer and appreciate the services our tax dollars pay for, such as schools and law enforcement. I'm also an oil field worker in Sonora. When Measure Z passed, I and many of my co-workers were afraid we would lose our jobs and be able to provide for our families. Needless to say, it was a relief when the court overturned much of Measure Z. Now the folks behind Measure Z are trying to get the county to appeal that decision. As a local taxpayer and someone who works in the oil industry, I hope you will resist that pressure, respect the court's decision, and keep our tax dollar at work where they benefit the most. Thank you.
My name is Doug Roberts, and I'm here today. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. I'm here today on behalf of the Monterey Peninsula Chamber of Commerce, where I serve as co-chair of the Government Affairs Committee. Monterey Peninsula Chamber has signed on to a letter regarding Measure Z, along with the Salinas Valley Chamber and other prominent business associations in Monterey County. The county has met its obligations to the voters to defend Measure Z, which has been judged to be flawed in its overreach of state and federal regulations of the oil and gas industry. As good stewards of the county, we urge you to abandon further legal defense efforts of Measure Z and to preserve county funding for budgeted public services rather than enriching attorneys. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Alejo and members of the board. My name is Frank Geisler, and I'm here as past chairman of both the Salinas Valley Chamber of Commerce and the Monterey Peninsula Chamber of Commerce. Each of these organizations represent over 700 businesses and organizations and well over 55,000 employees. The CEOs of both chambers, Jody Hansen and Paul Farmer, could not attend today because of chambers commitment, and asked me to deliver a letter to you that I've given to the clerk. In the coming days or weeks, you will be considering whether or not the county should appeal the recent court decision that invalidated most of Measure Z. The chambers are leading a coalition of residents, organizations, and businesses that operate in Monterey County to urge you to be prudent with taxpayers' money and not to appeal the court's decision related to Measure Z. Others have indicated that they will appeal, but we believe that for the county to also do so would be a waste of taxpayers' dollars, especially when the county budget is strained. I will leave for you copies of a letter from prominent businesses, organizations, and residents urging you to protect our county's local jobs and economy. I also have letters from the San Ardos Unified School District and the Monterey County Business Council. If others want to challenge the court decision, let them do it on their dime, not ours. Please respect the judge's sound decision and let the court's ruling stand. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Alejo, members of the board. Doug Yount, board chair for the Monterey Peninsula Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber's mission for Monterey Peninsula is to promote the regional economy. And in fact, every chamber and government agency's mission is to promote the regional economy. A long, expensive appeal of the court decision of Measure Z, however, would be in direct opposition to that mission. Better is to recognize the Superior Court's decision of constitutional protection for local industry. Better is to spend funds on priority needs, many of which the county is in desperate need of funds for them. And better is to focus on protecting and promoting job creation in industries in Monterey County.
Good morning. I'm here as a taxpayer of Monterey County, and I do urge each of you to take into account the economic result of what Measure Z would be if it had been upheld. It would have been devastating for the county, it would have been devastating for the taxpayers. So I'm asking you not to go on, not to pursue an appeal of Measure Z. Judge Willis' decision was very measured, very reasoned, and I don't think it would serve the county well to appeal it. And I think this is a time for either leadership or political expediency, and I hope you all choose leadership. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman and board members. First, I want to share my condolences to your district impacted. My name is Steve West, and I work for King Gold Tools in San Ardo. Our company was founded in San Ardo in 1982. Since our startup, we have been fortunate to grow throughout the Central Valley, but our roots will remain deep in San Ardo, right here in the Monterey County. We are an oil well servicing company, and number one value is safety, and we have an excellent record in that regard. And it's been my experience that oil and gas companies and the companies and workers that support them share our commitment to safety and to protecting the environment. I understand that some folks prefer that we didn't produce oil here and are continuing to try to salvage Measure Z, even though most of it was overturned by the court, and that's their right. That doesn't mean local taxpayers should pay for it. I recall reading that the county has already spent $1 million defending Measure Z and has several million more earmarked for that purpose. That's enough. An appeal would be costly, and there's no guarantee it would be successful. Our tax dollars could be much better spent on services the residents of Monterey County need and deserve. Please do not pursue this appeal. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chair and all the other supervisors, my name is Gary Curcio. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the Monterey County Hospitality Association. We're a trade organization that represents 250 members and over 25,000 hospitality employees. We stand firmly against an appeal of the court's decision on Measure Z. $4 million has already been spent, and to do an appeal could cost up to twice as much. Very fiscally unresponsible if approved. On behalf of our members, we urge you to protect our county's local jobs and economy, and respect the judge's decision and let the court's ruling stand. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Supervisors. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak with you this morning. I'm David Armanosco, and I would like to go back to the beginning of this whole issue. We were basically dealing with a perception and a reality, and truth has been found in the decision by Judge Wills. If you look back at the whole idea that our water was being contaminated and represented a serious threat, there was never recognition of the fact that the Regional Water Quality Control Board monitors on a regular and daily basis the San Ardo oil fields. They have a great responsibility to Californians, and especially in an agricultural valley where water is so valued and important. And through this entire process, there was a perception created that this water, supplying both the aquifers that provide potable water as well as water provided for agriculture, was being damaged. And yet you never saw or heard from any of the agricultural leaders their concern about this myth. So now a legal analysis through the courts has been done and found that, number one, there is no fracking in South County, and in fact, there never will be, as that part has been upheld. The most important thing is that the judge has brought us back to reality and emphasized what the truth is about the operations in San Ardo. So I think it's very important that the realization we felt by you as leaders of Monterey County, that the truth has been achieved, and the taxpayers really are much more interested in having dollars spent the way you are wisely planning your budgets and dealing with the challenges of your budgets, rather than continuing a fight that is based on perception rather than reality. So I thank you very much for your courage and your leadership, and I hope that when you have to address this issue, that you will remember that there are better ways to spend our taxpayer dollars, and that the homework has been done through the courts, and that there is a resolution to this issue. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to address you.
Good morning, Chair Alejo and Supervisors. I'm Norm Groot. I'm speaking for Monterey County Farm Bureau. We are a trade association of 400 family farms throughout our great county. I'll also note that I'm a former chair of the Salinas Valley Chamber of Commerce and participate on the Government Affairs Committee for the Peninsula Chamber of Commerce. Farm Bureau got involved in Measure Z because it was a property rights issue. We have strong policy relating to property rights, and we believe that the Superior Court ruled correctly in protecting those property rights simply by permitting the state law to override a local mandate here. The county should be on the side of protecting our jobs and our economy here, and I think the courts have clearly stated now that we are correct in keeping our petroleum industry as a vital economic element here. Taxpayer dollars should not be spent on a legal decision. I'm not going to repeat a lot of what already has been said here, but the arguments are very strong. Let those proponents of Measure Z carry the appeal, and let them pay the dollars to carry that forward if that's the case. Because really this is in fairness to all taxpayers here. As you can see from the letter, there's a strong coalition of agricultural, business, and other interests who are telling you at this point, Enough is enough. The courts have ruled, let it stand. So we urge you at this point to allow Measure Z and the decision that was recently handed down to stand, and that the county not appeal that decision. Thank you.
Good morning, Wes Weiss, Salinas resident, president of Salinas Homeless Union. The guy, I just know a lot of people that are just scattered by what happened on Monterey Road. I consider it a county failure that this happened in this way. We went around and around back in September about the 10 to 6 was going to be a 24-hour, and then let's give them a halfway reprieve. We'll halfway promise that we won't put you in horse arms way. And still, you know, we push people off the Lapis, make them go to Monty. And I know there are factions within the county trying to stop this, but then there's enough faction that says, well, so what? You know, we're not doing this as a team on the county level, and everybody had to sign off on it because there was just no alternative but to make them go. But we're not doing anything to solve the problem. We're just trying to sweep things under the rug. The rug's getting more lumpy. We actually got to do something better than what we've been doing. I'm disappointed. I'm terribly disappointed because there's so many people that are in a lot worse situation now. It costs them more money to do what they're doing, and now they're more scattered and less safe. You know, less of a community, so I don't even know where they're at, most of them, because, you know, you gotta have a phone and you gotta have that charged and the wherewithal. And now they're further away from town, so to even go and buy stuff and pay taxes for those products, but they're not welcome anywhere. Our idea of what affordable housing means and what legally is allowed and not allowed, that needs to change because people are more important than things. A lot more important. And with this Measure Z stuff, there we are again, we're at a crossroads. We're going with community power, yet we're still hanging on to this addiction, this dirty addiction. And we're worried about tax revenue and job loss. Well, what is this community power thing going to do for us? That's supposed to be our green energy, our renewable energy that's going to be cleaner, easier to work with. Its longevity is obvious. So I'm just pretty disappointed in a lot of things right now, and I'm hoping that we're actually trying to work. Look at, I'm going to be talking with Anna Caballero on Friday, and she's actually trying to help with CSUB and UC Santa Cruz, and I'm hoping I get to be able to record that conversation, otherwise it's just air. And, you know, I'm hoping that she's trying to solve our problem that's halfway being created by the county. So, what is that?